So a couple of weeks ago, I started a little mission. My mission was to sort through my existing physical media collection. I've been trying to pull out the titles that I no longer particularly feel like I need in my collection, the titles that I can let go of. And with these titles, try to raise around £300 in value. So I can buy some new editing software for the videos that I create for YouTube by selling titles like this. I'm hoping to get there. But over the 2 weeks, I've looked into a couple of different ways of selling to find out which one's the best. CEX, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Vinted. Early on in this process, I decided I'm not going to bother trying Vinted. I didn't want another app on my phone. I'd already got enough between the CEX, eBay and Facebook Marketplace, so they were crossed off the list. One of the first items I tried was this old classic from the 80s. The old classic that's still sealed up. This one I did a price check on CEX. I listed it halfway between the price that I would get for a gift card in store and what they're actually selling at, and listed it at $12.99. The listing ended and nobody wants it. Not a very good start. Black hat. Shopping. Didn't exactly set the world on fire with this one. Well, Paul, you have won yourself the auction of Black Hat. This one didn't do great. I listed it on eBay at $11.99 for the Arrow edition, and it sold for $11.99. Again, not the best start. So I guess now I've started on this selling journey, we should discuss which are the best ways to sell some of your physical media. First, I'm going to start with Facebook and immediately discount them from this thing because they're an absolute pain in the butthole. Hitchcock collection went for £26. If they're dead, £28. So why is selling on Facebook such a pain? It's all down to the people. You'll get a query asking if the item's still available. You'll respond and get nothing back. Or I've had occasions when a buyer has said that they want to buy something. We spend hours going back and forth trying to organise a pickup time for them to come and collect the item, for them then not to show up. Nothing seems to sell unless you've marked it at below 50% of market value. It just feels a big waste of energy, so I'm going to discount Facebook from this whole thing. 28 days and 28 weeks later. Now this one did a little better.
Can't get my packaging out.
I'm going to go for a cardboard mailer with this one. Now this one, I started the auction at £25. CEX, I think we're offering around £20 for a voucher for trade-in. So £25 start price didn't seem too bad. But this one, it sold for, drumroll please, £34. It's out of print, but with rumours of another sequel, I can see this coming out again, so I'm not worried about losing this right now. Now I did have quite a big win with these three titles here. I had one buyer for all three titles. Combined, it netted about £150, which takes me to halfway to my target already. Now, I've been quite lucky with the eBay sales for some of the things, but one of the things that I find quite frustrating with eBay are the assumptions that are made by buyers. For this particular lot, obviously it was a good value, but when they sold, the buyer sent me a message and asked for combined postage, which if you set up as a business, yes, it's generally something that can be quite easily offered. Because I'm not a business, I'm completely unprepared for anything combined because the packaging materials that I've got for these sales are based on one item sold at a time. So when it comes to multiples, I've not got a way to ship them safely and easily. Luckily for this buyer, I did have a spare box left over, so I was able to offer combined postage. But there's a general assumption that are made by buyers that they can be pushy and have their own way when they have certain expectations that they don't have of other online shops. It becomes quite frustrating. On some of the sales, I've had instructions telling me how to package an item. Now, I'm a physical media collector. I know how to package items well. I know how to keep them safe. I think there are that many dodgy sellers on eBay that the trust is out the window, and suddenly you get the buyers that are very demanding. And it's quite difficult to deal with when you're doing this on your own and it's not a business, because it's not business as usual. Make sure it's tightly packed in this box as well, so there's no movement. Perfect! So I guess through me not wanting to use Vinted because it was an extra app on my phone and discounting Facebook completely, I'm kind of down to the big two options. We've got eBay or we have CEX. But which is better when you're selling? Second Sight limited edition of The Changeling. Disappointing, £12. Still getting the bubble wrap treatment though. Castle Freak, listed at $16.99 and it went for $16.99. There's pros and cons to either service, depending on what you're trying to sell and how much you're expecting to get from it. Through this process of trying to sell these items, the best platform for me for this challenge has been eBay. When it comes to selling import movies like these, I can't trade them in at CEX. eBay is my best option. And to be honest, it's given some of the better results. Van Damme's knockoff just sold for £37.55. I always like to package my items safe and secure, especially when people have paid a premium for a limited edition release. It's nice to have cared for packaging. Now, while you might get more money from eBay, the biggest ball ache of all is all the packaging. So I'll try and whip through what I've got and get it all packaged up. And I'll keep breaking away to try and give you updates on prices and if I'm anywhere near my target. Let's get this done. Passengers 3D, 4K and normal Blu-ray went for £9.38. While CEX do offer fair prices on limited editions and box sets, if you have the time and the patience for eBay, then generally you can earn a lot more. When I was listing on eBay, I used the prices on CEX as a guide. I started auction prices at the cost I would have got for the voucher on CEX. Very often when they sold on eBay, they actually got up to the value that CEX are actually retailing the titles for. If not, they went that little bit further. I think sometimes it's the hype and the high of bidding on an auction that sometimes pushes people a little further than is necessary. One of my many editions of The Thing sold for £43. Well, the joys of eBay, we've gone into the evening with the packaging, still got some items that are unpaid for, still got some items that are unlisted. It's an ongoing process, but if I do a quick add up, I think with the things that I've packaged, I've managed to hit my target. We'll see though. Amazingly, the Tales from the Crypt movies both sold for £34.88 to two different sellers. Strange. But this sort of success with eBay, it only really came with the limited editions that I was selling, the box sets, etc. If it was more of a standard release, the chances of selling for a good price were slimmed down. Some of the standard editions that I listed to sell on eBay, they didn't shift. They've basically relisted and they're going around again. Without dropping the price, I don't think the interest will be there. And then this is where I fall back to CEX. A title like Trances, I listed this on auction at $12.99. CEX are retailing it at £15, and if I was to sell it to CEX, if I was to get a voucher, I'd get £10 back. I can either relist this on eBay at the £10 and see if it moves at that, or I could take the easy path and go trade it in at CEX. And it's such an easy process. You basically take a bag full of goods to them, they'll scan them through and give you two prices. You've got the cash price if you want to walk away with cash in your pocket, or they offer a voucher price so you can spend credit in store, or you could use the voucher online. The voucher price is generally higher, but you've got money to spend while you're there. It's easy, it's simple. Monster Squad. This one I wouldn't have been able to sell at CEX because it's a Region A, which is an American locked disc. I listed it at $12.99, and it's one of these that an eBayer messaged me about. They bid at $12.99, which was the opening bid. A couple of days later, they messaged and said, please can you cancel my bid? No idea why they couldn't cancel it themselves. I didn't get around to cancelling it, but I received further bids and we got up to £18 for this one. Not too shabby. And while you're getting more money with eBay, it comes with a lot of hassle. You get silly questions through. Sometimes it's an honest question about an item, asking if it includes postcards, posters, etc. Sometimes it's someone calling you out about your pricing and saying that you're being ridiculous. It can become a bit of a headache, even when the item's sold. I sold an item on eBay, later that night or the next day, I got a message saying, oops, I placed a bid by accident, please cancel. How this happens, I don't know, but it's just the added headache that comes along with eBay. I've also found messages telling me how to package an item. It just adds to the time taken and the trauma of all the packaging. Depending on how much extra you get, sometimes I wonder, is it worth the extra hassle? And the natural follow-on to Monster Squad. We've got the Monster Squad documentary, Wolfman's Got Nards, which went for a tenner. Dreamscape. This was a bit of a funny one. I listed it on eBay on auction. I listed it at £15, which I felt was a fairly fair price. Someone messaged me randomly, as eBayers do, asking for my best price, and I told them it's auction only, so feel free to place a bid at the £15 opening. It didn't sell. They didn't place a bid. Instead, they messaged me the next day to see if I would take £18 on a buy it now. I opened up the buy it now price on the listing and he came through with the £18 offer. I'd have been quite happy with the 15, but I'll take the 18, no problem. It's where sometimes eBay buyers just confuse me. So I don't think there's actually a real clear answer to which is the best platform to sell to. It's all going to boil down to what you're trying to sell and your expectations with what you're going to get back. If you're selling limited editions or special editions, if you're looking for the best monetary return, I'd say eBay is your best option. Be prepared for the time that it's going to take to package these items safely, and also for some of the random questions that you might get about the item. If it's a standard edition or a standard release, I personally would say the best, quickest, easiest option is CEX. Sure, you might be able to squeeze a little bit more money out of using eBay, but sometimes these titles can go round and round for weeks on end before you can actually get any money for selling the item. So the standard editions that I had listed on eBay that didn't sell, I'm going to put these in a bag and get them off to CEX. I don't want to keep them on eBay for weeks on end hoping that they'll sell for £1 or £2 more. I'd rather just take the easy pass, take them to CEX and get my voucher that I can probably spend on something else that I actually want. So after all that, there's no clear answer to which is the best service to use. It's all going to depend on what you want out of it. The good news is, using eBay alone, I managed to reach my target of £300. That means I can get my new editing software and hopefully make improvements to these videos. That's it, I've done it. Fingers crossed, these videos get a little bit better. No pressure at all, I hope.